You are tuned in to Kids
In the Pit!
Hey guys, it's Gabe from the Kids in the Pit podcast. Today I have been joined by Brendan Murphy from the band
What's
Counterparts.
up?
Hey Brendan, good to see you again. I recently saw you guys at Underground Arts in Philly, and your show was so awesome. The crowd was so
It was a
crazy,
fun one.
a bit violent, but really fun
Yeah,
to
yeah,
watch.
Philly will do that for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, once you start getting, Philly, New York, New Jersey, if you go northeast like Boston, Connecticut, like people go pretty hard there for sure. It's like
yeah.
the opposite of Canadian shows. So,
There were literally
but
bodies flying everywhere. You look there,
yep.
there's a body in the sky. Like,
Yeah, it was I like yeah, that was I'd never been to that venue in Philly too. Normally we play what's it called? Like for like the bigger stuff we've done, was it like Electric Factory? I don't know if it's still called that. I can't remember, but
it's
it, or what is it? Where This Is Hardcore was.
yeah, it's called Electric Factory, I think.
Is it? Okay.
And
And then there's the other place, TLA,
Oh no, it's called the
like
Franklin
right
Music Hall
downtown.
now, I think. Or
That's it. That's it. It used to be called Electric Factory. Yeah, but yeah, and normally at those, not for This Is Hardcore, but like when we played there with End, obviously there was no barricade, but with Counterparts, like whenever we've done stuff in Philly, there's always, it's like a bigger ish room and there's a huge barricade and stuff like that. And Philly was cool. It was like like low ceiling. Everybody was going crazy. It was really dark too. I was like, man, I was on stage and I was like, man, I can barely see. Like, can't imagine moshing and just being like, well, I hope I don't break my arm. But
yeah. Fun fact about Underground Arts, that was the venue where my first stage dive and my first crowd surf was.
sick, there you go. Who like what band were you seeing at
So for my first crowd surf, it was hot water music, and for my first
Yep,
stage dive, it was Stick to Your Guns.
there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's enjoy it. Enjoy it. One day you'll be scared. Like I'm afraid to dive now. I'm like I know something's going to happen. But when I was younger, I would go crazy for sure. But you'll
Also,
get there.
what is your background? Is my question.
It's Twice. They're a K-pop group. They're like one of my favorite K-pop groups. I have like you can kind of see it. There's Diane, she's my favorite. It's
Yes.
yeah, I I haven't listened to a lot of heavy stuff in the last couple years. I think I don't know if it's because I probably started going to shows and getting like I got into like heavy music like probably you've got me beat by a couple years, but probably when I was 13, 14, and yeah, I've just not that I'm like sick of it, you know what I mean? But uh yeah, I've always had an appreciation for like pop stuff, if it's just catchy and fun music. And once I found K-pop, I was like, oh, this is like, you know, North American pop music, just better. And
Yeah.
took over my life. So here I am.
I don't really know much about like pop or K-pop. It's not really my type of genre, but
For
sometimes I
sure.
don't listen to as screamy stuff. Like I'll listen to like Bad Religion, I like
Sure.
Cursive, I like hot water music,
Yep.
but
Yep.
I also like Dead to Fall and Terror and Sick of It All and Shy Halud
For
and also
sure.
you guys. So
Yep. That's
uh,
yeah, I think as long as you keep your, I there's a lot of like genres of music and stuff that I just don't like at all, but I like to think that I've given, I try to give everything like a fair shot. It's like I listen to like a couple, like if there's different genres or whatever, like, some of it I can't stand, but for the most part, I like to, it's like, yeah, let's see what's going on over here. See if anything sticks out, but sometimes it doesn't. But I think, you're on the right track as long as you keep, you probably know more bands than anyone else your age. You know what I mean? So more styles of music and everything. So that's cool for sure. Yeah, you're gonna have your musical palette is gonna be refined for sure.
yeah. So what do you do in Counterparts?
So I sing in Counterparts.
Nice.
That's
Not exactly
yeah. I sing
but
and I run the Twitter account and that's kind of it.
nice.
But
Not exactly singing, more like screaming, but
yeah, yelling for sure.
vocalist. You make sounds out of your throat.
Yep, Yep. I open my mouth and whatever happens, happens. Basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something comes
Yep.
out.
That's it.
I mean, there is some singing,
For sure. Yeah.
like in Massacre of Saints in the
Yep.
beginning.
Yep.
Uh,
That one is that's probably like the most singing singing I've ever done in like a song, and it's scary. It's like, like obviously I know I can do it. Like I had to do it at least once to get it on the record, right? But it's
yeah,
with screaming and stuff, it's you don't have to hit notes, you just kind of yell and
yeah,
whatever happens. But if you hit the wrong note singing, it's like, especially when someone's right in front of you filming you and you hit the wrong note and you're like, oh man, everyone's gonna make fun of me for that one. But whatever, I'm trying. It's like, worst case, if someone's like,
yeah.
oh, you can't sing that well, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, I can't scream that well either. But
Yeah,
I just try. I just give me the mic and I'll try whatever.
because like it seems like singing like so if you are not like born with the ability to scream or sing, it's way harder to learn singing, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, for sure, without question. Yeah, like when I started screaming and stuff, like I was just like screaming in my bedroom along to like Slipknot songs and stuff. And, after a little while, you're like, okay, if I do it this way, it doesn't hurt the next day, and so on and so on. And you can get better at it. But singing, I feel like you need, like you said, as long as like there's people that are just born with it and they just open their mouths and they just hit notes and they're perfect and they're amazing singers. But singing definitely takes more, like, not necessarily talent, but you have to like really practice and try. If you weren't born with it, and it's scary for sure because screaming, it's like whatever. As long as I know the words, I can kind of do something with my throat to make it sound like that. But with singing, you know, there's all these little notes and little things, and then there's harmonies, and it's just like
Yeah,
it
and there's
doesn't make
tremolos
sense to
and
me.
there's yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. Just, and like the way you stand and, when you're screaming, it's like I literally just yell. But with
yeah.
singing, it's like, oh, you got to work on your breathing. And if you stand this way, you'll sound different. And I'm like, just let me yell. Just let me yell. At least I know how
It's
to do
like
that.
just let me just shout into a microphone.
Exactly. Right. Like yeah, that's kind of how I've always approached it for sure. And then
Yeah.
every now and then it'll be like, yeah, maybe try and sing this part. And I'm like, okay, we can try. And sometimes it works. And sometimes I'm like, delete that, like, get that out of here. I don't ever want to hear that again.
I uh I sometimes like in the basement I'll like play guitar and like sing to well not exactly sing, more scream to songs.
Yep.
And my trick is I have to have a cup of water with me because if my throat's dry, I cannot at all, and also it kind of
Yep.
hurts. You need to
Yep.
have your
Yep.
throat moist. So
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. And that's always a big one for me too. Like, I'll talk to people and they'll be like, oh, like, how do you do it? Like, is there anything that you do? Like, do you warm up? Like, how do you take care of your voice? And I'm like, I don't really, like, everyone's like, oh, you're not supposed to drink like soda or like, anything carbonated. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, I drink like 15 sparkling waters a day, like cans, you know what I mean? I'm
same with
like,
my brother.
yeah, I'm like, you gotta, like, I take care of my voice, but to an extent, like I don't want it to be like, oh no, I can't have a vanilla Coke because I have to play tonight. It's like, nah, give me the vanilla Coke. I deserve a treat every once in a while for sure.
Yeah.
But
Because like just before I'm about to sing, I just gotta if my throat's dry, I just gotta take a big chug of water.
yep,
Boom.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the move for sure. Honey also kind of works too.
Uh,
Every now and then when I'm recording, I'll have like, I never pay for it. Like I never like go buy honey to record, but for some reason it's always there. And then I don't know if it's like, if I just like it because it tastes good or if it's actually helping, but I think it kind of helps. It's like thicker and helps
yeah.
coat your throat a little bit better. But yeah,
Yeah.
screaming. It's weird. It's weird. I never thought, when I was your age, to be like, yeah, I'm gonna scream for a living. Like I'm just gonna yell. It's like, but
Just
hey, here I am.
yell into a device, and that's what
Exactly.
you do.
Yep. It's like that's literally my career.
Wait,
But
so
hey,
you don't
you
have a
know,
job other than that?
no, with like During COVID, I was working at like my friend's like barbershop where I live, and I wasn't cutting hair or nothing. I was just like working the desk and stuff. But pretty much since I think since we did our second record, I've just been doing counterparts, and then since 2017, I've been doing counterparts and end as well. And it's just like I'm kind of just too too busy to have a job, like 'cause even for this year, it's like when we leave in February for Australia, I like, I'm pretty much gone for the rest of the year. Like I might be home for like a week in between tours, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm just like I'm gone so much that I can't think of anywhere that would even hire me. You know what I mean? I feel like most places would be like, "Oh no, like why? You're going to work one day a week maybe, like nah, we'll find someone else. Get out of here." But
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, pretty much just music. That's
That's like my
that's
dream
that's all
job
I do.
to like
It's
do
it is
something
cool.
related to music. Maybe record music, maybe um like just be in a band.
Yep.
Anything like that would be really cool.
Yep. It is like it's really sick. Like I'm really glad that, I I know that I'm lucky to have that as my job. Um yeah, and I think more like it's probably easier now to do it full time than it was years and years ago. Um just because you can kind of like you can like record in your bedroom, and you can learn anything you want, like any sort of anything related to music online. So I think that it's, you'll like you already see it like more, there's like so many bands right now, they like pop up and they're touring immediately and everything. And the first couple years for Counterparts, it was rough for sure. Like when I didn't have another job, I was pretty broke, but hey, now I can afford my rent and my candies and K-pop concert tickets. So, hey, I'm all right. I'm doing enough. So
And also you get to travel the world. And you
that
get
too.
paid to
That's
travel
that's
the
my
world,
favorite
which is
part.
ridiculous. I just
Yep.
insane.
That's for sure. That's for sure my favorite part about doing this is, like when I go on tour, it's like, if we go somewhere cool like Japan or something, or, like just somewhere crazy, it's like, okay, so I get to come here for free, and or like not even like get paid to be here, and all I have to do is just like yell for 30 minutes like a night. I'm like, pretty fair trade, it's
Yeah.
it's awesome for sure.
Yeah. So what song would you recommend someone not familiar with your band look up? Maybe something off the new album?
Yeah, I think I would go with the new record. I think the new record is like it's it's the most like I guess like it's probably the easiest one to get into, I think, but it's also, in my opinion, it's like the best record for sure, because we've been a band for a long time. We have a million records, and it's like, with this one, we just kind of took, with every record, we kind of just take, we're like, okay, we're good at this. We know this works. So let's get rid of the stuff that we know doesn't work. And then it just makes the whole record flow better. And, it's like a little bit more digestible for people. Um, while still being like, yeah, this is a Counterparts record, like we're not changing our sound really. But I would probably go with, I mean, my favorite song is Mass Grave, but it's
Ooh,
not,
same.
I don't know if I would show, I don't know if I feel like if I showed that to somebody and then they like then they were like, yeah, this rocks. Then they listen to all the other stuff. They might be like, well, a lot of them don't really sound like that one. I think Unwavering Vow is a pretty good, that's like a good intro to Counterparts. I think Whispers too. Um, even off of like Nothing Left to Love, like Wings of Nightmares is like a classic like Counterpart song. Like it sounds the most like us, I think. But
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I think Unwavering Vow would be pretty good. It's got that like, it's like catchy chorus ish. Like it's got the really like melodic, sad kind of part in the middle. It's got the big breakdown. It's like that kind of shows what we're trying to do the best, I think.
Yeah. So I was in the car with my mom reading the lyrics to Whispers Your Death, and I said to my mom, I wonder if this is a song about a dog dying because Clark, that's my dog,
Yep.
sleeps on my chest. And she laughed at me and said she was pretty sure it was about a woman. Then we
Yep.
watched the music video on YouTube and saw it was about your cat. So I'm sorry about the loss of your cat, but can you
That's
tell me
okay.
about him?
But for sure. Yeah, he was yeah, so I like I guess I mean the song it is kind of about like losing him. When I wrote the song, Kuma was still alive, and it's like it's not really a song about like his like even like I know it's called like Whispers of Your Death, you know what I mean? But like even that title to begin with, like um so Kuma, like when my ex and I got him, like he was really sick. We didn't know he had like FIV. It's I think it's like feline immunodeficiency virus. It's like kind of like HIV in humans. So his immune system, he couldn't like fight off stuff, like if he was
Oh,
fine, but if he got sick, his immune system couldn't fight infections. So shortly after we got him, like he did get really sick, and he did almost die, like we're talking like a couple months after, like weeks, even I think
wow.
it was like 6 7 weeks after we got him. And like the title, like Whispers of Your Death, like I kind of named it that because it was like when he was sick and nobody could figure out what was wrong and nobody could help him. Talking to the vets on the phone, they would, like whenever they would talk about like what was going to happen, and I'd be like, do you think he's going to be okay? Their voices would get really quiet, like almost to a whisper, and they'd be like, we think there's a chance he might die and stuff. And like that's, but I wrote the song about him just like, I guess, just the idea of like one day it's gonna happen. Like, even when I wrote it, like, I have him in the music video, like that's him there. And,
Yeah.
he was still around, and like at that point, even too, like he was still doing pretty good. But I knew that I wanted to write a song for him because, when it's like it is kind of a long story, but we got him shortly, like again, like going back to like once we kind of realized with COVID, like, okay, this isn't going away. We got him, and I didn't know what to do because it was like, okay, I can't. The only thing I've known how to do my whole, like, for over half my life is play shows and tour and being a band, and I couldn't do that. So I was like really struggling with like, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I just sat around all day. And then when I got him, like he sort of replaced that for me. Like I wasn't so upset about not being able to go on tour and play shows and stuff because I was like, oh, like that'll come back, but like right now, like I'm Kuma's dad. And then all the health stuff happened, and I really, my whole life for the 2 years I had him, like just it was just me wanting to take care of him the best I possibly could, So
Wow.
so I wrote that one for him, and and like that also really helped me because I wasn't, obviously when your whole life gets turned upside down and you can't do the one thing that you like to do, and also which is also the thing that you need to do to make money to live. I was in a pretty rough spot, and having him just like being like I was around him 24/7. Like I didn't leave him for like the first year that we had him. Um,
Wow.
and it made me feel really good being like, okay, like if I can't be the vocalist of Counterparts or End, like I get to be Kuma's dad, and like that's also, and like that gave me something to look forward to as well. So I wanted to sort of, you know, immortalize him in a song. It's like, I didn't know he was gonna die, you know what I mean? But like, I mean, obviously he's a living thing, he's going to, but I just wrote it to just kind of be like, hey, thanks, thanks for giving me a reason to get up in the morning. You know what I mean? So that was my song for him for sure. But
Yeah. Wow.
yep,
Wait, so how
I,
old is
I love
he?
him. I love him. He was the best. He was. So we don't know. He was like a feral, like outdoor cat when we got him. Like so, when we got him, the foster that we got him from, they said we think he's between 4 and 6. I don't know. Like we didn't know like the breed. We didn't know how old he was. It was just like, meh, like this is Kuma. Like, he's just him. And yeah, but he was the best cat. I love him.
Wow.
But yeah, you know,
That's
and I'm stoked that that song goes off. Like, we open the set with it and everybody's singing it, and it makes me feel good knowing that like obviously I loved him so much, and like the fact that other people cared about him and about me, and they were also concerned about him too when he was sick. It's like that's awesome. So I think
Like
it really,
how old was he when he passed away?
like I think like six. Yeah, like we only so I only had him for 2 years. It was we got him at the end of or like summer 2020, yeah 2020, and then he passed away like the day I was flying home from Furnace Fest this year. So like September something. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, it was a short period of time, but best 2 years of my life for sure.
Wait, so yeah, now he's famous though.
That's the thing, and like with the song and the video and like we did like the Kuma like shirts and stuff and
Yeah.
we like everyone who knows the band I think like they know how important he was to me, and like how much I loved him and like I think because of that people loved him a lot as well and like they were worried about him, um and it was cool, it kind of it it brought down like a wall I guess between like I don't really feel this way about like people that like either of my bands because it's just like, well, I'm normal, you know what I mean? Like I'm just a guy. But I think it kind of made people go like, oh man, like the song's about his cat. Like, he's like, and especially other people who have lost pets or other family members or anything, it kind of kind of like brought us together in a weird way where everyone was like, okay, like, it gives it like a face in a way to kind of be like, okay, like I know what this guy's going through because I went through the same thing, or and it kind of brings us closer to where it's not, I'm not just like a guy in a band that's singing about whatever. It's like, no, I'm just like everyone else. Like I go through things like that, and and it's nice to have like people to that are there and are supportive. So I think that's one of like obviously I miss him and like the fact that he's gone is like terrible, but if there's any plus side to him dying, it's that like it's bringing our fans like closer to us, and you know yeah, yeah, I don't know, it's a nice feeling for sure, and seeing people like singing every word, and and even people like before he passed away, like people just coming up and asking how he's doing. I'm like, man, you guys actually care. It's not just like a band that you listen to. Like you actually care about
Wow.
how I'm doing and how my cat's doing, and it's nice. It was awesome.
Wait, so you said that he died the day that you flew home from Furnace Fest?
Yep. Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah. It was.
so
We played the one day, and then yeah, I was like at the airport, and my ex called me and was like, yeah, he's not gonna make it, and yeah, but
you weren't there when he passed away?
no, sadly, no. I
Wow, I'm
wish, I
so
wish, I wish I
sorry.
could have been, but yeah, it was. But that's the other thing too is like, it like even like I wish so bad that I could have been there for sure, but it also helps knowing that like even though I wasn't there, it's because I was on stage like screaming the song I wrote about him to like I don't even know how many people were watching us at Furnace. It was like when I looked out on stage, I don't know, could have been like 5,000, 2,000, I don't know what it was, but everyone just singing along and people were holding signs and yelling his name and stuff, and it's like if I couldn't be there to say goodbye to him, at least I was like still celebrating his life at the show, you know what I mean? But,
Yeah. Well, on
but
to a
yeah.
lighter note. What was your first show and how old were you?
I'm trying to think. When I was, I think I want to say like 12, 13, or 13, I think. I'm trying to think of what year do you start high school?
Like 14 maybe?
That's what, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I graduated when I was 18. That was 12th grade. So yeah, so I guess yeah, like 13, 14-ish, I think. Like I started just kind of like going to local shows around like in Hamilton, like, no one that I can't remember what like my first couple were, like I said, just like kind of local bands. One of the first like actual like bigger shows that I went to was in Toronto. I went and saw I might have even been younger. I want to say I was in like the 8th grade, but I went and saw it was the Used, Under Oath, and Alexis on Fire in Toronto. That was a that was, yeah, like Arrow Hall or something. I can't remember the name of the venue, but that it was like it was a really big show. Um, I think it was right around the time it's like the Used put out In Love and Death. Um, Under Oath just put out They're Only Chasing Safety, and I think Alexis on Fire just put out Watch Out. So I want to say like 2002, 2003. I can't really remember. Maybe later, maybe 2005. But yeah, that was one of the first like actual shows that I remember going to when I was younger. And then, going to that show, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is so cool. Like I want to play music. And then I started going to like a lot of local shows, like where so I live in Hamilton, Ontario, and around that time, the local scene here was like really strong. So we would have, like I'm pretty sure the day before that show in Toronto, like the Used played in Hamilton, and like, you know, like My Chemical Romance would do the same thing. Like they would play in Toronto and play like Hamilton the day before or after. You know what I mean? Like even though we weren't as like the city's like not as big as Toronto, we would get a lot of really cool shows. And yeah, like when I remember being in high school, and I'd be like in gym class outside, like running on the field, and like I'd be on my flip phone or something and just like looking at like, oh, there's a show tonight, like so and so's playing here, and I just probably like every other day was just going to see bands around this area.
Oh,
But
that's
it's
awesome.
it's not as the scene isn't as crazy as it used to be. It's like getting back. It's like we had a pretty low period for a little while. There wasn't too many bands in Hamilton, and you know, at least for like metal and hardcore kind of stuff. But it seems like stuff's starting to pick back up now, which is cool because you
Yeah.
know the scene here. Like that's why I'm doing this for a living. You know what I mean? So it's cool that it's kind of getting back to where it used to be for sure.
Wait, so in Ontario, where is Hamilton? Is it like is it like outside of Toronto, or is it like
Yep. Yep. It's so Hamilton is like it's like pretty much it's an hour from here to Toronto, but it's also an hour from here to Buffalo.
oh,
So
nice.
like give or take, maybe 40 minutes, whatever, but 40 minutes to an hour. Um so yeah, so like even that too, like for shows and stuff, like we were right in the middle. So, we could go to Toronto to see a show, or like, or there could be a show in Hamilton, or you could drive 40 minutes and go to a show in Buffalo, or like, 3 hours from Detroit, you could drive to Detroit if you want to, so it
Yeah,
was where we are. It's like, if there wasn't something happening in Hamilton, you could get to another city pretty easily, which is,
it's like
we were lucky for that for sure.
yeah, but there's a lot of traffic like in between the borders, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it kind of depends. I feel like if you're going over as a band, um, you never know what's going to happen. Like they could just wave you through, or you could be stuck, just waiting there for hours and hours. But for the most part, I think as long as you kind of play it smart, like I said, if there was no border, I could probably get in my car and drive to Buffalo in 40 minutes, like non if I didn't stop.
Wow.
But with the border, it's like sometimes you got to plan ahead. Like if a show in Buffalo is starting at 6, I'm like, all right, I'll leave my house at like 3, kind of give myself, then you can go kill time. You can go get food or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like it's kind of the same as Toronto, honestly. Like either
Nice.
way, it's like two bigger cities. It's like Toronto's like, major city, so you're gonna get traffic with that. Buffalo, it's like, smaller, but you still got the border and all that stuff. So it gets, Niagara Falls, like traffic, people driving.
Yeah.
So you kind of just got to plan ahead. But, luckily we haven't had too many issues traveling for anything. So
I just interviewed Scott Vogel in Buffalo. He said he's 10 minutes from the Canadian border if there
yeah,
wasn't
yep,
traffic, which is pretty
yep.
cool.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, like I'm not like I was gonna say I haven't. I think I saw it, Scott, like in the summer, and he was telling me that he was like moving back to Buffalo and stuff. But because yeah, like he's from Buffalo, and then I think he moved to LA for a minute, and now he's back. Um, but yeah, like back in the day, like Scott, like like he always tells stories of like living in Buffalo and like going to Hamilton because it was like Hamilton shows and Buffalo shows, like I think like Every Time I Die played their first actual show as Every Time I Die, like in Hamilton, because it's so close, you know? And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a cool spot for sure. But I
Cool.
love Buffalo too. Like, it's the only difference between Hamilton and Buffalo really is like Buffalo gets a little bit more snow than we do, but if they get 5 feet, we get four. So it's like not it's not that different. But yeah, yeah, Buffalo rocks for sure.
Nice.
Fun spot.
So, what are some of your favorite bands of all time?
Um, in like, so in I guess in like heavier stuff, like hardcore metalcore stuff, like Misery Signals is up there for me. Like Poison the Well, Shai Hulud, like those bands that kind of, you know, the bands that we kind of have been ripping off for years and years with our music. Um, I was really big into that like early 2000s Trustkill, Ferret Records, um, all that like that era of metalcore. Like that's when I first started going to shows. So, band like I'm trying to think like off the top of my head, like other like you're like It Dies Today and like all that like the Ferret, uh, like yeah, Trustkill and Ferret, both of those like you could close your eyes and pick one, and I'm like, yep, love them, one of my favorites. For um when I was like a little bit younger, like obviously, the earlier like emo-ish stuff, like I mentioned, like The Used and My Chemical Romance and like all that stuff from first to last, like those were big ones for me. Um uh I don't know. Smashing Pumpkins is one of my favorite bands. Um my like actual favorite band of all time is the 1975. And I know it's like, people always kind of give me like grief for it because it's like they haven't been a band for like that long. Like they've been around since like 2013, but I don't know. They're literally my favorite. But they're more like pop indie kind of stuff.
Oh,
Um,
never heard of them.
yeah,
Check them out, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. It's like it's just catchy, like it's catchy, like poppy kind of stuff. But it's like real. There's like it's really smart, and the way they kind of like run the band and like do everything as a band, it's just it's so cool. It's like they're like the coolest band. Um, yeah, and then obviously all my K-pop groups and stuff too. Like I don't know if they're bands necessarily, but um, but yeah, yeah. There's I've been yeah, I'm old. It's too many bands. Um, but yeah, 19. I would say like 1975 is just my favorite band for sure. Um, but yeah, 1975, early 2000s metalcore, some 90s alt rock in there, like Smashing Pumpkins and Third Eye Blind and Goo Goo Dolls and all that stuff too. But yeah,
Nice.
I was gonna say you said your favorite band's Hot Water Music, right?
Yep.
Yep. I don't know, for some reason I never really got into them. Whenever someone else is listening to them, I'm always like, yo, this rocks. Like this is sick. And then I just never really did like a deep dive. But what record should I start with?
Probably Caution, because
Okay.
that's the one people like the most.
Sure. Cool. I'll have to check it out for sure.
How about the Flatliners? They're from Ontario.
Yeah, yeah, they're yep, Flatliners is cool. They I was gonna say like a couple of them like they run like a merch company and they like
Yep.
print merch for us and run like a merch store for us and stuff. Like I just met like a couple of them recently. Um
Nice.
yeah, really cool. Those guys are yeah, and like they've been doing it forever too. But
Yeah. It's
yeah,
like a high school band.
yeah, yep, they've
It's really cool.
and I think what was I can't remember who it is. I want to say like
You know, Chris Criswell?
yeah, yep. I was gonna say yep, yep,
He's
know
in
him
Hot
for
Water
sure.
Music also.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say like I started following him online like after we met, and I was like Flatliner stuff, and then I started seeing like Hot Water Music stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe they're on tour together, and I'm like, oh no, he's doing both. Like actually, I think they were on tour together, and he was
Yeah, I think.
just playing two sets. I'm like, that's exactly what I do whenever Counterparts and End play a show together. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm familiar. Stu from Comeback Kid and Ms. Ziggs like was doing that every day when End was on tour with both of them. It's like I don't know why we do it to ourselves and why we want to play two sets a night, but It's fun, you know.
Yeah. Mike Justin, he's the drummer of Madball and Unearth, and Madball and
Yep.
Unearth were just on a tour,
Yep.
in like the Midwest. The dates were Indianapolis, um, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Columbus, Ohio, and then Memphis, Tennessee, and then Furnace Fest.
Sure. Yeah, that's a yeah, it seems like it seems like everyone's doing that. Like I remember when the first like it was like I think Counterparts we did a headliner in like 2018 and for New York, Philly and Worcester, I want to say, and opened like all of those shows too. So and everyone was going crazy. Like everyone's like, "How are you gonna do that? Like two sets in one night? Like, are you
Yeah,
gonna be okay?" I'm like,
it has to
"Yeah."
be tiring.
Like it is, but also like, you know, you get the break. Like you play for 30 minutes with end, 20-minute break, play 30, 40 minutes with counterparts. Like it's not that bad,
Yeah.
um,
So
but also like everyone, you know, like everyone was so shocked that I was doing that, and now, like you said, like Stu's doing it, like Chris does it, like the Unearth. What was it like? It was Unearth, and what was the other band?
Madball.
Madball. That was it. Yeah, like same drummer. It's like, you know, I mean, drums would probably be worse than singing. I think.
Yeah, because like
Uh,
you gotta hit it really hard, and like
exactly. Yeah.
it you have to.
Yep.
It's definitely one of the most tiring instruments out
At
there.
For sure. At least if I get tired on stage from playing two sets, I can just go like, "You do it," and just kind of hold the mic out. So that helps for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, I can't imagine playing drums for two
you
sets.
can't
That
you
would,
can't just like move the drum set over and give someone a drumstick and let them. Can't do
yeah,
that.
just stand up and go, "Hey, you want to, hey, play the ending." You know what I mean? For sure. Um, but yeah, yeah, it is fun though. You know, I don't know. Maybe I just like the attention, and I got to be up there in the middle of the stage doing my thing. I don't know, but it is fun for sure.
Yeah, that's fine. So what is your favorite place you've toured in?
Probably Japan. I think
Ooh,
like it's
nice.
just it's so fun. It's just like going back to what I was saying earlier. That's kind of like, you know, with Japan, it's like you the like, and I don't mean it in like a bad way at all, but it's like, yeah, the most boring part of your day is like playing a show. You know, it's like
Yeah,
you play your set for 30 minutes and it's like, well, yeah, that was fun. That was a really good show, but you know, I did like I'm gonna go like do private room karaoke or like go to like go to the arcade. You know, I'm gonna go to a robot restaurant and just like the craziest
yeah. There's
stuff.
a robot.
Um,
There's like robot servers at a restaurant. What?
for sure. Yeah, exactly, right. And it's like
They're just like if like they're just ahead of us in society.
for sure,
Like
for sure.
like
It's
this is our society, this is Japan.
yep, exactly.
Well,
And it's
like
just
US and
every
Canada,
time
Japan.
like yep, we like, you know, and like Japan's one of the places where it's like, you know, like around here, like if I'm on tour in the States somewhere, like in Canada, it's like, yeah, you know, oh, you want to go do this, like you want to go out to like a bar or something, or like, oh, there's like a, you know, there's something nearby, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, like kind of boring. I don't really feel like it. In Japan, it's like you could just go walk for like an hour and you'll find the coolest stuff. Like things that you can't even, it's like, oh, I went to a cat cafe and then
Yeah.
like, you know, then I went to this like crazy like art installation thing, and then, you know, then I got like food in a place that's this big that I could barely fit in, and you know, and like it's just it's the coolest place in the world. It's so fun. I can't wait to go back.
Me and my mom were actually supposed to go there this month, but we had to postpone it because my dad couldn't stay at home and
Yep.
take care of the animals because of his job.
Oh well, you can you'll get there for sure, and I'm
Yeah,
sure you'll love it.
hopefully sometime.
It's the best. It's like, you know, it kind of reminds me of just like being a kid. Like everything's just fun and everything's like cute, and you know, like I mean, as long as you have like a bit of money to spend, like you're good. You'll just have the best time. You know what I mean? It's there's always something to do, and it seems like stuff doesn't ever close at all. Like, you know, it'll
Yeah,
be 4 in the morning, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna go get sushi, and then you know, I'm gonna go play arcade games and try and win a giant like Gengar from a claw machine, and whereas some places in the States or like Europe is especially bad for it. It's like around 9 p.m. everything's just closed, like the entire city shuts down. And I'm like, oh, that's when we're on stage. Like I want to have something fun to do after. But
Since I'm a kid, will it be twice as fun or will it just be the same?
probably twice as fun, honestly. I would think.
Nice.
Yep. Because there's a lot of stuff where it's like, I'm like, I don't know, like even so, like sometimes like at the arcades and stuff for like the claw machines, I'll have spent like $100 and I'm trying to win this like one thing and I just can't get it. And then I like get off the machine for a second and I'm like on my phone or I'm like looking up how to win in a claw machine online. And then, people half my age just walk in and like they just get it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I'm like, maybe I'm too old for this now. Maybe I missed that part of like I just never learned how to be good at those. But even still, it's still so fun. I'm sure if you ever get a chance to go, you'll love it for sure.
Yeah. In Osaka, there's a like Universal, like kind of like Universal Studios park, and there is a Nintendo like have you ever been
I was
to
gonna say like the Mario World thing.
yeah, have
Like
you ever
I think it's
have you ever been to like Disney World in Florida?
no, I have so I haven't. I've been to Universal though,
Oh,
and the last time I went to Universal, they were just building all that stuff. Like you could like kind of see the Nintendo part of everything, but it was like you
wait,
couldn't go into it.
in uh in the US?
Yep. Yeah.
Like I said,
They were,
Nintendo World opening in Universal in the US?
was it like it might have been Disney World, but I remember like driving around and everyone's like, oh, like that's where it's going to be. And you can see that it's like starting to be built. But yeah, it was cool. I wish so bad that I could have went. I was so stoked for it. And then they're like, oh, it's not going to be ready for years. I'm like, oh, great. Thanks.
My
You
mom
should have warned
says
me.
it's Universal Orlando opening next year, so that's cool.
There you go. Yep. That's yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I think that's where I, I think that's where I went. I can't remember, but um yeah. Yeah, I was really looking forward to that. But hey, I'll go next year, you know?
But
But
in Disney World in Florida, I go there sometimes, and there's like a Toy Story land, there's like a Star Wars land. So I assume it's like subdivisions like that.
yep, yep. Yeah, like Universal, the Orlando one, like they'll have that. They have like the Simpsons area like that, and like
In
I
Universal,
love this.
Universal
Yep.
Japan.
No, like at the I think they have it at both the LA Universal and the Orlando one. They have like
We
the
gotta
first time
stop
I
going
went
to
was in
Disney. We gotta
Orlando.
go to Universal now. That sounds
The
better.
I love the Simpsons, so that was like,
Yeah, same.
we I remember we had an off day in Orlando and it was like, "Hey, are we doing Disney or Universal?" I'm like, "I don't care what anyone else is doing. I'm going to Universal. I'm going to the Simpsons part." And then everybody just ended up coming with me to Universal. Um
And there's
but yeah, it was awesome. Like got to have like a flaming mo and eat a Krusty burger and do all
and
this
there's
stuff.
like,
It's
did you wait? Were you able to eat one of Bart's donuts?
yeah, like one of the giant ones.
That's
It's
amazing. What about moon
they're
waffles?
$20 and they're like the biggest. It's the biggest donut. It's like the size
Yes.
of like I don't even know what to compare it to. It's like the size of a stop sign. And
Wow.
I remember buying it and I'm like, whatever, it's $20, who cares? And I took one bite and I was like, oh, it's so good. And I'm like, you guys are gonna have some, right? And everyone's like, no. So I just had this giant donut with me for hours and I'm like, eventually I just had to throw it away. I was like, I can't if I eat any more of this donut, I'm gonna throw up. I just gotta toss it. But
What about moon waffles?
I didn't have that. No,
Uh,
I'm not sure what that is.
it's just like
Moon
I
waffle?
uh it's part of a Simpsons thing. It was like a waffle and there was like a
Oh, with the
syrup on it and
yeah,
he put a whole stick of butter in it.
the whole stick of butter
I
with
don't
the
think
little
they
thing.
actually put like a whole stick of butter. They might use something else because I cannot eat that much butter.
Yeah, you'd be
I'm
pretty
not
sick
at his
for sure.
level yet.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say yeah. Yeah, it's like I can't remember what it is. It's like he does like something or whatever, and it's like like wraps it up, puts a little stick on it, and he's eating it. And it's just like ugh, gross. But
Looks
yeah,
disgusting yet amazing.
yep. It's like I would take one bite for sure, but I don't want to. I'm not the whole thing, not at all.
Can't
But
do that. But yeah. So, what is your favorite type of food from another country?
I mean, for like Japan stuff, like I really there's this one restaurant called Ichiran, and it's like a ramen place.
Ooh,
That's up there for me. That's probably like my favorite ramen I've ever had. And I think they're all open like 24 hours. So again, it's like
nice.
there's been times where I've been jet lagged in Japan and like just can't sleep, and it's 4 in the morning, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to Ichiran, I guess, and I just like eat the best ramen in the world at 4 in the morning, and it's like eight
Awesome.
dollars. It's the best.
Okay,
Um,
so if speaking of ramen, do you like sushi or ramen more?
um, I would take Ichiran ramen specifically over sushi, but I feel like ramen's easier to mess up. So sushi's probably a safer bet. Um, but if it's Ichiran versus like the best sushi, like actually I don't know. I don't know. That's tough. Maybe sushi, but for the most part, I'm going to Ichiran for sure. I do love sushi. All the place like everywhere in Japan, it's just like the best. It's the worst sushi in Japan's better than anywhere in North America, and
Yeah.
it's awesome.
I
But
like ramen more than sushi, but I still really like sushi.
yep, I like it all.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um
you got to go to Japan. You'll love
yeah.
it. If you
I,
if
I
yeah if you like sushi and ramen, you're good. You'll be fine.
we might be able to go there like this fall or something. So,
Cool. I hope you get to go.
yeah, hopefully. So if you could tell your 11-year-old self anything at all, what would you tell him?
That's tough. Um, hmm. I would probably. I don't know. I don't think there's not like a lot of stuff that I would necessarily want to change. I think if anything, I would go back and tell my 11-year-old self like, "Hey, it's gonna take a while, but you'll figure it out." Like, it's like scary, like even up till probably 3 4 years ago, even I was still like, oh man, what if this doesn't work? Like, what if people just don't like the band, or what if we put out a record and it sucks and no one likes it, and what am I gonna do? I think I would go back and sort of like try and take that anxiety away from me when
Yeah.
I was younger, and just kind of be like, hey, yeah, it's gonna suck for a couple years and it's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be good. Like it'll pay off. Just keep screaming in your bedroom when your parents go to the grocery store. You know what I mean? But I'd probably tell myself that. Yeah.
Yeah, so would you like to add anything before we wrap it up?
I think I'm good. I think I'm good.
All right.
As long as you
Well,
don't have any more questions, I'm down.
I
But
don't. Okay. Well, thanks to
sweet.
Brendan for joining me today. Thanks to all you for watching or listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Spotify and other streaming platforms. Until next week, bye.
Peace. Thanks for having me. Take care.